Welcome to Archiversity online lectures. In my previous lecture, I explained you the concept of net income approach. Net income approach makes an assumption that by including debt in a capital structure, the value of a firm will increase and overall cost of a capital will decrease, and which says that using a debt in a capital structure is relevant. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about net operating income approach. This approach says that the capital structure mix is irrelevant. In the sense, by using a more and more debt in a capital structure, even though the cost of a debt remains a constant and the value of a firm remains constant, the cost of equity will increase. This happens because when more debt is used by the firm, then its fixed obligations will increase, which becomes a more risky for the equity holders, and their expected return will increase, which eventually results in high cost of equity. This is one. And the second is that by using a debt into a capital structure, the market price of the stock will not change. It remains the same. These are the two assumptions of a net operating income approach. Now I'll illustrate that with an example. The net operating income approach assumes that by using debt in a capital structure, cost of equity will increase and market price of the share remains constant. Here, assume that a firm has a rupees 10,000 in debt at a 10% interest. The expected annual operating income, that is EBIT, is 10,000 and overall capitalization rate is 15%. Given the information, calculate the value of the firm, value of equity, equity capitalization rate, and market price of a share. So you have to calculate the four things. So first we look at the value of the firm. So your value of the firm is EBIT upon overall cost of a capital. So this equals to EBIT is 10,000 upon overall cost of capital is 15%, 0.15. Value of the firm, this equals to 66,667. Then value of equity, that is a common stock, this equals to value of the firm minus debt. So this equals to 66,667 minus debt is 10,000. So this equals to 56,667 is the value of equity. Next is calculate the equity capitalization rate. So your equity capitalization rate, KE, this equals to EACS upon value of equity. So EACS is EBIT minus interest, and this upon market value of equity. So your EBIT is 10,000. This minus interest amount, the company has a debt of 10,000 at 10%. So 10,000 and 10%. So 1,000 is the interest. This equals to 9,000. Equity capitalization rate, this equals to 9,000 upon value of equity, that is 56,667. So this equals to 9,000 upon 56,667. So 15.88%. Cost of equity is 0.1588 or 15.88%. The next is market price per share. There are 1,000 shares outstanding. So your market price per share, this equals to value of a shares, the market value of a shares upon number of shares outstanding. So this equals to 56,667 upon 1,000 shares. This equals to 56.67. So the market price of the stock is 56.67. In a scenario 2, suppose that the firm increases the amount of debt from rupees 10,000 to 30,000 and uses the proceeds of the debt to repurchase the common stock. In the sense, the company is issuing a debt, mobilizing the money, and with that money they are buying back the shares. So What will be the value of the firm, value of equity and cost of equity and new market price? See, the value of the firm remains the same because you're saying that the value of the firm equals to EBIT upon overall cost of a capital. There is no change in EBIT and no change in overall cost of a capital. So the value of firm remains the same. That is 66,667 only. Now value of equity is S equals to value of firm minus debt. So this equals to 66,667 minus, now the debt is 30,000. That is, the company increased its debt from 10,000 to 30,000. So debt is 30,000. So value of equity is 36,667. Then what is the cost of equity? So your cost of equity, this equals to earnings available to common shareholders upon value of equity. So your EBIT is 10,000 minus your interest rate. Now you have a debt of 30,000. 30,000 is a debt, and on this 10%. So this equals to 3,000. Debt 10,000 is a debt and a 10% in the previous case. Now debt increased to 30,000, whereas the cost of debt remains the same. So 10%. So that is 3,000 upon 36,667 is the value of equity. So this is 7,000 upon 36,667. So this equals to 7,000 upon 36,667. 19.09. So your cost of equity equals to 0.1909 or 19%. So in the previous case, your cost of equity is 15%. That is, when a debt is 10,000, cost of equity is 15.88%, or let us say 16%. Now when debt increases from 10,000 to 30,000, your cost of equity increased from 15.88% to 19%. So the cost of equity increases. Next one is market price of the share. Now here what is that we are saying is the 20,000 additional amount which is borrowed, this the company uses to buy the shares. Now each share, that is 56.67 is one share, and now with the 20,000, how many shares the company can buy? That is 20,000 upon 56.67. So this equals to 352, or let us say 353 shares. Now the company has 1,000 shares. From this it purchased or buy back 353 shares. So how many shares are left out? 1,000 minus 353. So this is 647 shares are left. Now market price per share, this equals to market value, that is a value of firm upon number of shares. The value of the firm, that is the market value of equity, is 36,667. So this equals to 36,667 upon number of shares outstanding. Now we have only 647 shares. So this equals to 36,667 upon 647. So 56.67. Market price of the share is 56.67. So the market price remains constant. Now we look at the assumptions. When debt is 10,000, your cost of equity is 15.88%, and market price of the share is 56.67. When debt is 30,000, that means debt increased by 20,000, the cost of equity has become 19%. You can see that there is an increase in the cost of equity, whereas the market price of the stocks remains the same as a 56.67. So the proponents of net operating income theory says that by including more and more debt into a capital structure, even though the cost of debt remains a constant and value of the firm remain constant, but the cost of equity will increase. This happens because equity investors will perceive more risk in that, and their expected return will increase, which ultimately leads to increase in cost of equity. So here the assumptions that they made is the cost of debt remains constant irrespective of the amount that borrowed. But that may not be true, because here we see that as the risk level of equity investors increases, their cost of equity increased. Similarly, if a company borrows more and more debt, the lenders will also perceive a risk in it. Then when they perceive a risk in it, automatically there may be a change in cost of a debt also, because if the company is borrowing a more debt then it is a more risky, and the investors, that is a debt investors, will charge higher rate of interest, which ultimately leads to the cost of debt. So in such scenario, what is going to happen to the value of a firm? So to address this, we have an approach called as a traditional approach. So in a traditional approach, they consider these two factors. One is cost of a debt, that is a change in a cost of a debt, as well as a change in a cost of equity, and how is that it is going to affect the capital structure of the firm. So in my next lecture, I am going to explain you the concept of traditional approach, and traditional approach is considered as an optimum capital structure theory. The proponents of traditional approach says that there is an optimum capital structure where there will be a trade-off between cost of debt and cost of equity, which increases the value of the firm. After that level, the value of firm may not affect or it may decrease. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the lecture.